President Cyril Ramaphosa's response to the allegations made by suspended Police Minister Senzo Mchunu raises more questions than it answers. When a sitting president says, "I will wait until the Madlanga Commission completes its work before I comment," it sounds diplomatic on paper, but politically it reeks of evasion. South Africans are not asking him to comment on the Commission's proceedings. They are asking a much simpler question. Did you or did you not agree to the disbandment of the PKTT? It's a straightforward matter of accountability, not legal procedure. Yet Ramaphosa hides behind formality, using the Commission as a shield to delay the truth. One cannot help but ask whether he is still cooking a response, carefully preparing a storyline that will absolve him when the dust settles. Because if Mchunu is lying, it would have taken the president less than a minute to say so. But his silence, his polished presidential wait and see, speaks louder than denial ever could.
I don't know if you were paying attention to the ad hoc committee proceedings last week where the Minister of Police suspended Senzo Mchunu had said he told you about the disbandment of the PKTT. Did he tell you? Did you agree that the PKTT must be disbanded? Thank you.
Well, let's start off with the very last question. I appointed the Madlanga Commission to investigate and go into the allegations that have been made against Minister Mchunu. So a lot has been said and a lot will continue to be said. As the person who appointed the commission, I will await the moment when the proceedings end and when a report is tabled to me before I comment. I cannot run a contemporaneous commentary about the proceedings that are taking place, and my approach is I will wait until all the matters are properly ventilated, and thereafter we will be able to comment. So I think let's wait for that moment, and in fact it is with due respect and regard to the work that is being done by the Judge Madlanga, and the other commissioners. It is only correct that we should wait until they have proceeded further with the work that they are doing.
I know you cannot, as you mentioned, you want to wait about the Madlanga Commission and the ad hoc committee, but perhaps you can just talk to us about what you think this has reflected for South Africans, the kind of allegations that have come out. Do you see perhaps maybe a dysfunctional police, a dysfunctional SAPS, and maybe taking South Africans into confidence about the steps of accountability thereafter? I think that's it for me for now.
With regard to the process that we've embarked upon, one of the reasons why I appointed the Madlanga Commission was to deal with the allegations, but also to enhance accountability and also to ensure that whatever might be wrong that is being done by anyone should be brought to the surface. There should be transparency so as to enable us to correct whatever is happening. Now we have a police force which has about 160, 180,000 people. Many of the people who serve in the police are dedicated. They are people who are willing to serve the people of South Africa and at great risk to themselves and to their own lives. And we must admit that and honor that. And as we reposition our police service, we need to find out exactly what has been happening. And so therefore what is happening there should not alarm us. It is a necessary process that we must go through to find out exactly where there are weaknesses, and where there is corruption we must deal with it, and where there is capture we must deal with it. And this is the best way of being able, in a very transparent way, to enforce accountability and to reposition our police. So this is a cathartic moment, I will admit, It's a difficult moment for us as South Africans. However, it is necessary that we should go through this moment so that we correct whatever has been going wrong in the police. Thank you very much.
Just the last
Have a
question,
good
please,
evening to all of you.
This is not the first time Ramaphosa has chosen caution over conviction. The nation has seen him retreat into the shadows whenever a political fire breaks out, waiting for commissions, reports, or time itself to wash away the flames. In moments that demand moral courage, he defaults to bureaucratic politeness. That might work in boardrooms, but it's disastrous in politics. By refusing to confront Mchunu's allegations head-on, Ramaphosa looks like a man cornered by his own indecision. Even his most loyal supporters are beginning to sense fatigue in his leadership, a man so terrified of controversy that he'd rather be silent than truthful. This is not the Ramaphosa South Africans were promised in 2018, the new dawn president who would fight corruption and restore integrity to government. That image has crumbled into a hesitant figure who seems more concerned with survival than leadership. At this point, one must wonder whether Ramaphosa still believes in accountability or whether he's mastered the art of political delay. His non-answer is not neutral. It's a calculated evasion. And in politics, silence is never innocent. It's the refuge of a man who fears that the truth, once spoken, might expose too much. So yes, South Africans are right to lose hope. We expected a leader with backbone, but what we got is a careful diplomat. A man too spineless to say yes or no when the nation needs clarity. History will remember this moment, not for what he said, but for what he chose not to say.
And I think just talk to us a little bit about the Expropriation Act. I understand that under your own admission, you said that there are inconsistencies, rather contradictions within it. Are you worried that this may open the door to legal challenges perhaps, and also the credibility of some of the government-led legislation and going forward?
With regard to the Expropriation Act, there is no law that is 1,000% perfect. The laws will always have areas of either weakness where they need to be strengthened, and we often do so through regulations and through other interventions. And to the extent that the Expropriation Act deals with correcting the imbalances of the past and also deals with how property should be dealt with and how property should be expropriated for public interests. Whatever weakness there might be there can and will be corrected through regulations. There is inherently nothing wrong with the law as it was adopted in Parliament, as I signed it, and we can strengthen that law in terms of application through regulations and all that.
President Cyril Ramaphosa's admission that the Land Expropriation Act is not 100% correct is not the act of a humble statesman. It's a confession of political failure. This is a policy he once sold to South Africans as a cornerstone of economic justice, the instrument that would finally return land to the people and close a century-old wound. Now, to hear him publicly backtrack is nothing short of an embarrassment for his presidency and a betrayal of those who believed in the promise of reform. Let's be clear. When a sitting president admits that a major piece of legislation, one born out of pain, history, and hope, is flawed, it reveals not honesty, but incompetence. It tells us that the government pushed a policy it did not fully understand, could not properly implement, and never intended to defend when the pressure came. The statement might sound humble to his supporters, but politically it's a disaster. It exposes a lack of vision, preparation, and conviction. For years, Ramaphosa used land expropriation as a slogan, a way to keep the revolutionary rhetoric alive while soothing investors with empty reassurances. He wanted to please everyone, the dispossessed masses, and the financial elite. But that balancing act was never sustainable. By admitting that the act isn't 100% correct, he confirms what many already suspected, that it was more about political theatre than genuine transformation. The timing couldn't be worse. South Africans are struggling under a collapsing economy, deep inequality, and record unemployment. The land question remains emotional and unresolved. Instead of leadership, Ramaphosa gives uncertainty, a shrug dressed as reflection. And that's the tragedy of his presidency. Endless committees, commissions, and consultations, but no courage to deliver. This admission doesn't show maturity. It shows weakness. It tells citizens that the president doesn't stand by his own policies. It hands ammunition to his critics and fuels the narrative that Ramaphosa is a man who governs by hesitation. If the Land Expropriation Act isn't correct, Mr. President, then why was it signed, defended, and celebrated in Parliament? Why did you allow it to become a political promise if you knew it was flawed? This kind of political flip-flopping destroys public confidence. South Africans needed decisive leadership on land reform, not another "we're still reviewing it" moment. The country is tired of polite apologies from a president who seems allergic to conviction. Ramaphosa's admission doesn't just weaken the ANC's credibility. It turns the entire land debate into a cruel joke. So, while the president might believe he's showing transparency, what the public sees is a leader who's lost control of his own narrative, a man trying to rewrite his failures in real time. Land reform deserved a leader with backbone. Instead, it got another boardroom diplomat pretending to be a revolutionary. If you made it this far, I assume you really enjoyed this video. Please help us by liking the video and subscribing to our channel. Also, let us know, what do you think of this shocking story in the comments section. Thank you for watching.